What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you guys to my very own team selection for the upcoming Blank Game Week 32. So as you guys know, if you watch the transfer plan, but the free hit has been activated, been catching those price rises and those price drops over the past couple of days, and that's all going to result in our final free hit draft. Now before we get into all the free hit goodness of Blank Game Week 32, going to take a quick look at Game Week 31. Obviously Liverpool played on Monday night after I did record the transfer plan, so I'll give you guys the update on the overall rank and where we're sitting. I'll then move on to some context about why I'm actually free hitting, show you guys how many players I had for Blank Game Week 32, and to conclude this video, I'll be going over my latest free hit draft. Now if you guys want to post your drafts down below, be my guest. I want to see what you guys are dealing with. Your draft might be better than my own, so let's compare notes and let's hopefully get a green arrow in Blank Game Week 32. But getting back to the team selection, if you're still interested in it, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So going over a quick review of Game Week 31, as I mentioned, I recorded the transfer plan on Monday afternoon before Liverpool vs Leeds actually took place. Bottom right hand side, unfortunately the green has turned to red, quite fitting there because Liverpool absolutely dominated the fixture and I didn't own any of them. So no Salah, no Trent, no Gakpo, no Jota, and that turned our green arrow of about 3k places to a red arrow of about 20. So currently sitting at just out of the top 150k, would have loved a green arrow heading into this upcoming Blank Game Week. That wasn't the case, but hopefully we can get one in the upcoming Game Week. Was nice to see as a Liverpool fan that we are playing better football at the moment, so let's hope that we continue this form as I am looking to triple up on those Liverpool assets in Game Week 32. Now in terms of overall points, 59 points total. Let me know what you guys scored in Game Week 31 and how big was that green or red arrow. Now finally, in terms of our transfer plan, if we didn't use the free hit, 1 free transfer and 0.4 left in the bank. So I'm going to start off on our bench, and luckily we did actually bench our injured options, Luke Shaw and Rashford. I did bench Luke Shaw going into Game Week 31's deadline, so even if he did come on, he wouldn't have come off our bench. Now the good news we got today was the fact that Luke Shaw and Rashford have returned to training before their Sevilla game, so let's hope they get some minutes off the bench and therefore are ready for double Game Week 34. Then in terms of Botman, there was a lot of debate about which kind of defender to play in Game Week 31. That kind of dilemma wasn't even a dilemma at the end of the day because most of our defenders got 1 or 2 points. Now going to our goalkeeper Kepa, going to talk about my starting goalkeeper Ederson because that was my transfer in for Game Week 31. I took out Raya, brought in Ederson. Yes, in terms of the net gain, that was a loss. Raya ended up scoring 5 points and Ederson only 3 points, but our bench keeper scored 6. Now in terms of Kepa and Raya, they actually lost their clean sheet, but the save and bonus points came in clutch, and therefore they outperformed Ederson by quite a few points. But luckily it wasn't too much, and let's just hope that Ederson in the future repays us, but it is quite worrying that Man City are losing these clean sheets quite easily. Now lucky though, Ederson did get a save point, taking him to 3 points total, but overall the transfer on paper didn't look that great. Heading into our backline, you guys can see the disappointment continued. We got Rico Henry with 1 point, Trippier with 1 point, and Estupiñán with 2 points, so triple blank for our defenders. So not many clean sheets we actually had in Game Week 31, but I was expecting more from my defenders. Now going into our midfield department, and the disappointment continues yet again, especially our first option there, Bukayo Saka missing a penalty against West Ham. When I saw that, I knew Game Week 31 was going to be a red arrow, because sometimes the luck's just not on your side. Now I said this in my transfer plan, I don't know if you guys do agree with me, but I think if an attacker misses a penalty, I don't think it's unlucky because an attacker should always be favoured in a penalty situation. But if you guys do own that attacker that misses the penalty, that's unlucky because you brought them in because you think they're on pens. Now we've seen this a lot with Ivan Toney, with Mo Salah, but it's my first taste of it owning Saka, and it really isn't that great. But let's hope that he does rebound going to Game Week 32 if we do choose him in our free hit draft, but recently he hasn't looked that great. We then have the double up of Matoma and Solly March, Matoma getting 2 points, Solly March getting 5. Now if I did bring in Jack Grealish for Rashford, I would have actually benched Solly March, so pretty happy that I did start him, and he did keep quite close with Jack Grealish who got 7 points I do believe. It's not the biggest difference at the end of the day, and now that Rashford is back in training, pretty happy that I did keep hold of him. We then have Bruno Fernandes who yet again created chances, his XA looks strong but the points aren't flowing in, and I think he's on the cusp of a massive mega haul. So we will be patient till the day that comes because I think the chances created for him are super strong, his teammates are just not finishing them. Then finally heading into our forward department, and the luck did come into our forwards. We got Erling Haaland who was actually subbed at half time but managed to score 2 goals and get most of the bonus points in the first half. So Pep Guardiola, once again, public enemy number 1 for us F4 managers, as I do believe Haaland would have got a hattie if he stayed on the field. We then have Ollie Watkins, the star performer, so if you guys aren't going to back the early kickoff, just remember that Ollie Watkins in Game Week 31 was the early kickoff, but I guess you weren't really considering captaining him. But in great form at the current moment, Aston Villa are playing great football, and Ollie Watkins just seems like he can't stop scoring. definitely lock in our free hit drafts, one of the few players that I'm taking from my current team into that actual final draft. We then have Harry Kane with only 2 points against a Bournemouth side at home. Before game week 31, I thought this was finally the opportunity that Harry Kane was going to get a double-digit return. A massive haul was on the cards against Bournemouth at home. That wasn't the case, and Spurs ended up actually losing against them. So just one of those game weeks at the end of the day. Saka, Kane not really performing, our defense going in absolute shambles, and not owning any Liverpool assets. Now hopefully your game week did go better, and hopefully you guys got a green arrow with those red assets in your team, like a Mo Salah or a Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now before we get into the actual transfer plan, I want to give you guys some insight into why I activated the free hit. I've had a lot of questions over my Discord server, Legend members asking me. They said they got 8 players, 11 players, should they free it, should they not? So let me go over the reason why I actually used it. Now I'm going to bring on my entire starting 11, and as you guys can see, the bench is absolutely stacked with blank game week options. Kepa, Luke Shaw, Stupinan and Rashford all blanking. Going to my starting 11, don't have a goalkeeper, Edison blanks. My back 3, got Henry, Trippier and Botman. 2 fixtures against Spurs at home, not the best fixtures. In my midfield department, I've got 1 fully playing midfielder. It's Bukayo Saka and Southampton at home. Matoma, March and Fernandes all blanking. Then in my forward department, only Haaland blanks, and I've got Ollie Watkins and Harry Kane. So I have a massive total of 6 fit options for blank game week 32, and I'd say about 3 of them I'm not really considering on my free hit. So 3 options I could actually take through to the draft. So for me, it was a very easy decision. I'm pretty sure your guys might be a little bit tougher. Let's say that you got 8 options, 9 options. What I would do is do the similar situation to what I've just done. Look at your starting 11, see how many players you'd actually want in your free hit draft. There might be some exceptions there. I wouldn't go kind of too maverick though. If you have someone like a Henry, you can always just play him, or a Botman. That's a fine option to feature. But if you can get to about 10 options, then you might be able to save the free hit. For my team though, I've got 6 options, 3 I won't include in my free hit draft, so therefore it's worth me using the chip. But if you guys do have any dilemmas, comment them down below on my Discord server, and I'll try and help you out, or maybe someone in the comments can also reach out to you. What I will say though is that if you do like the look of a free hit, I personally do. I don't think game week 32 is a particularly boring game week to use the free hit. And just remember, we have a few game weeks to go to the end of the season, so don't hoard your chips too much. So quickly going over the transfer plan, as you guys would have guessed, the free hit has been activated. Just want to give you guys a reminder, make it official here. Actually activated a few days ago, been riding the price rises and the price drops, even though it doesn't really matter as you have so much money in the bank for the current draft. Now I just want to remind you guys as well that the deadline will be happening on Friday evening. Wherever you guys are around the world, make sure that your team is locked in, your chip is activated if you want to use one, and your CAMC and transfers are set. I will be doing a deadline stream though 1 hour before the deadline to make sure that those ball notifications are on, or if you guys are following me on Twitter, make sure those notifications are on so that I do remind you when I go live. But now heading on to the actual free hit draft, so this is going to be the latest free hit draft that I have come up with, and I do actually quite like it. Now as I mentioned in the deadline stream, I'll be finalizing my drafts to make sure that you guys are there. I am expecting some early Arsenal news which will be quite integral to the current Arsenal tripler. Now first things first, on the bottom right hand side you guys can see that we have actually decreased our bank from 5.8 to 5.1. I've made some upgrades in other departments, but still a ton of cash left in the bank, so if you guys can't afford this draft, I would be slightly worried. But you guys probably will, and I've gone for a super cheap bench, so I would also make some upgrades. So talking about that bench, let's go over it. Currently I've gone for a super cheap bench as mentioned, but if I do choose to go for this draft, I will make some upgrades just in case I do have some sub appearances. So my goalkeeper of choice is Iverson currently, but I probably will upgrade that to whoever. Might even go for the Crystal Palace second goalkeeper since I have a free spot. I think on Andreas Pereira for Fulham, he has Leeds at home, great fixture on paper. I've actually seen some drafts including him in the starting 11. Then Alex Moreno and Anderson are going to be our 2 cheaper defenders. Like Alex Moreno, but he has a tougher fixture against Brentford away, as I do believe Brentford will score. With Anderson though, it's a tough one because I do like Crystal Palace's defense against Everton at home, but I simply can't fit him into my starting 11. But at least I have gone for one Crystal Palace defender. It's the goalkeeper Johnston. As I mentioned, Everton at home is a great fixture on paper, and under Roy Hodgson, Crystal Palace's defense over the last 6 has been pretty strong. So he's quite a tempered option on the free hit, but tempered doesn't mean he's a bad option, as I doubt there's many managers without a free hit that have a Crystal Palace defender. Now there are some other goalkeeper options to go for, but I'd probably suggest not going for an Alisson or a Ramsdale, as I do believe there are outfield players that are better than them. Talking about one of those better options, we're going to start off with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Nottingham Forest at home is a great fixture on paper, one of the worst attacks in the Prem at the moment, and Liverpool are a better side at home. Now you guys saw that new position of Trent playing almost as a CDM, but I still believe that won't affect his creativity as he still was creating chances against Leeds. Now will he get the same space? I don't really think so, but I still think he's a great option and definitely one of the shoe-ins or lock-ins for your Liverpool triple up. Then going to go on to Kieran Trippier, who's also going to be in my team. Now, I do believe that you guys should be choosing one of Trippier or Harry Kane. I don't think you guys should be going for both of them. I'm on the side of Newcastle at home. I just believe they're a better side at the current moment, and Trippier always offers that attacking threat. So just to say that again, I think that you guys should choose one of Harry Kane or Trippier. Yes, you guys go for both of them if you want to go a little bit safe. They're both highly owned options, but I think on a free hit, you got to take your chances and add back whoever you predict to win. Now, final defender to go for is actually going to be Gabriel from Arsenal. So a switch up here, we've gone less attacking from Arsenal. I've gone for one of the defenders, and I'll speak about that a little bit later on. Now, in terms of your defenders from Arsenal, there are a few selections that you guys can look at. Seems like Zinchenko was back in full training today, and Ben White has been getting quite forward. But I've gone kind of safe. I've gone for the centre back. Yes, Arsenal's defensive form over the past couple hasn't been great, but I still think against Southampton at home, one of the worst attacks in the Prem at the moment, Arsenal should keep a clean sheet. So I've gone for one defender from Arsenal, which I think you guys might be not happy with, but I just believe they might kind of go for the victory, get the 3 points before facing Man City in the midweek. But I guess they could also go from an attacking point of view, lose their clean sheet, score kind of 5 goals, but I'm hoping that they don't. Now moving into midfield department, I'm going to accompany Gabriel with 2 of his colleagues. It's Saka and Martinelli. Now Martinelli's a lock-in for me. If you guys are going to choose an Arsenal asset, I definitely go for Martinelli, especially from their attack, as his stats look simply outstanding. Now in terms of Saka and Martinelli, I would wait for early team news. That's why I've said that you guys should be in the deadline stream or at least monitoring Twitter, because I do believe you might get some early shouts. But currently, if everyone's going to start, if you don't get early team news, Saka and Martinelli will be my 2 selections, and I really like these 2 attackers from Arsenal. Now Southampton at home is a great game, and as mentioned, they are facing Man City in the midweek, so if they do drop points here, it's going to lower that confidence before that midweek clash. So I'm backing in to rebound from this West Ham draw, and I believe that Saka can get back on the form that he has showed over this entire season. So we have one double up in our midfield department. Now let's add 2 double ups. We're going to go for the Liverpool double up of Mo Salah and Gakpo. So yes, I'm actually going for the 2 attackers from Liverpool. I know that Robertson's quite a popular option. Van Dijk has emerged as a popular option, but I do prefer the attacking threat of Liverpool against Nottingham Forest. Now between Gakpo and going for another selection, I just believe it comes down to that midfield slot, as you do have a ton of forward options that I'll speak about shortly. So attacking threat of Gakpo, and I think that he is quite nailed at that centre forward position. So what more can you ask for? So as you guys can see, I've gone for 2 attackers and 1 defender from each Liverpool and Arsenal. I believe that this might be the best split to go for, as I think there are other forwards that I could potentially look at. Now obviously I'm talking about Gabriel Jesus in that comparison, because in my transfer plan or my free draft, I had Gabriel Jesus penciled in, as I did really like his stats. But currently I do think there are other assets that could actually match him, but I do think in terms of Arsenal assets, if you want to go for one of their attackers, it's Martinelli and then Jesus second. But in terms of my overall structure, there's a lot of defensive options. Don't really want to go for double up on Crystal Palace when I can fit Gabriel in there and then pair him up with a nice striker. So talking about those kind of striker pairings, let's go over our first option. We've introduced Ivan Toney instead of Gabriel Jesus in our forward department. I just believe Aston Villa, yes, they have improved defensively, but I do think Brentford are a quality side, and I can see Ivan Toney actually scoring in this one. Now I'm going to bring in Ollie Watkins as well, because I do back the 2 strikers in this game. What I'm hoping for here is that Aston Villa and Brentford are both comfortable mid-table sides, kind of pushing the European places at the moment. So what I'm hoping for is, because they're safe from relegation, they're going to go all out in this game and be quite attacking. So let's hold thumbs if we do go for Ollie Watkins and Ivan Toney. That's an absolute goal fest, and I think it actually might be. Now my final striker to go for is actually going to be Dom Solanke, which actually might be quite weird for you guys. Seeing 5.1 million in the bank, why am I not going for Harry Kane? Yes, he's consistent, but as I mentioned, I'm backing Newcastle in this one and hoping they do keep a clean sheet. But if you guys do want to go a little bit safer, I would recommend Harry Kane, very highly owned within the top ranks. But I just believe that Dom Solanke can do well against a tied West Ham side after the European game on Thursday. So just check how West Ham do tonight when they do face their opposition in Europe, as I am expecting some rotation, but I think they should go for that fixture. Bournemouth on the other hand are attacking super well. If you guys watched my ultimate guide yesterday, you'll know this, that they're actually on penalties looking pretty strong, and obviously Dom Solanke is also on penalties. But yes, quite an interesting one. There are other options to go for, but I do like him at that striker position. So I guess what this comes down to is the fact that should you go for Gabriel and Ivan Toney, then currently Dom Solanke and Ollie Watkins are locked in. So for me right now, it's Ivan Toney plus Gabriel, or maybe going for someone cheaper like an Alex Moreno and then a Jesus. So in terms of those 2 comparisons, I do back Gabriel and Toney over a Moreno or an Anderson and a Jesus. This could all change going to the deadline stream coming up tomorrow. Let's just say that maybe Saka's benched or something like that. I want to switch it up. I go for Jesus in the front line and then you go for another midfielder. But currently I'm pretty happy with this. I've spent a few days kind of deliberating. I believe overall the team structure here looks pretty strong. We're getting the punts. We're going for that double up in that Liverpool attack where I believe the upside is. We have a few differentials like a Dom Solanke that can do pretty well. And just remember from the ultimate guide yesterday, yes, this team might look quite tempted or boring, but when you look at the combinations of these options, they're very lowly owned. But you guys can roast me in the comments down below if you want to. Post your drafts as well. Maybe your draft, as I mentioned, is better than mine, and then I'll simply just copy you. But overall, I don't think the structure is going to change too much, except for maybe a Gabriel versus a Gabriel Jesus. Maybe going back to a Van Dijk or Robertson instead of a Gakpo. Let's just see how those press conferences go today and also tomorrow. Otherwise, hopefully I'll see you guys in the Dayline stream where we'll be finalizing our freer team going to the Dayline on Friday evening. That's basically all for the video, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you did and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow, hopefully, and hopefully we get a green arrow in Game Week 32. But I'm yourself, Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.